Okay, so we're talking to Stellan Skarsgård, who plays Martin in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Which came first for you, reading the book or seeing the Swedish films?
I still haven't read the book. I saw the Swedish film, but and then I actually read the script for the Swedish film first, and then I saw the Swedish film, and then Fincher came. And I wanted to work with Fincher. That was the most important thing. I would have worked with him even if he just brought the phone book or something.
Mm-hmm. So, what was the attraction of playing this particular role?
Well, as I said, it was working with Fincher, but it's very well written too, because it's written by Steve Zalian, who's one of the best writers we have, and it is an interesting character because he is there's so much contradiction in him, and you get to play him in two totally different ways, which I thought was fascinating. And then you have the problems of having a 5-minute monologue in the basement that you have to calibrate so that you reveal he's a monster, but at the same time you got to make him recognizable as a human being, and you want the audience even to see a little of themselves in it.
Now, the story is obviously based on the books, been seen or read by a lot of people who've seen the Swedish films and have read the book. And it's almost like a play in which audiences are aware as to what's going to happen. How did David want you to play this role?
Well, we agreed on playing it as if nobody had read the books. There are, 65 million copies sold of it or something. But hopefully this film's audience is bigger than that. So we play it as if nobody knew what was going to happen. But at the same time, it is, even if you know the story, you can enjoy it, because then you enjoy another side of it. You see the duplicity and you enjoy that.
In a way, the story is about honesty and truth, as someone once mentioned. And, there's a little bit of a cat and mouse game between your character and the character played by Daniel Craig, in which, he's allowing him to investigate a story in which obviously we know what may happen at the end. Why do you think your character is pretty much allowing this to happen?
There's several reasons. First of all, it's arrogance. He's so sure that he's smarter than Mikael Blomkvist, that he can handle the situation. But the second thing is that Mikael Blomkvist is looking for a killer of my sister, and I didn't kill my sister. So he's going in another direction. Then he happens to stumble over some stuff that I did. And that's by accident.
For those who may have not read the book or seen any of the Swedish films, what kind of background do you think your character had?
His background is pretty horrible. I mean, he was sexually abused by his father. He was brought into his father's serial killing sprees, and and at the same time he was this member of this powerful financial family, and he manages to compartmentalize his life in a way. But the end is, of course, disaster.
Uh-huh. And how comfortable was it that this film was being shot in Sweden, your hometown?
I have not for 25 years been able to wake up in my own bed before I go to work. So it was great.
Uh-huh. And then when you think about working with David and Rooney and Daniel, how was it working with David and knowing his style of working, which possibly, you'll have many takes to do one scene or so?
Yeah, when I met David, when we started talking about working together, he said to me, well, if you do this, it's not going to be fun, because I do up to 40 takes of each setup. And I said, well, I don't work if it's not fun. So we better make those 40 takes fun. And I think we managed to do that. I had fun every single take. It depends on what you do with him. His way of shooting is not like he's trying to. He has a definite idea that he tries to perfectly work his way to. He's still investigating. It's still a creative process on the set, which means that you can do 40 takes that are different, that you can try things, that you're allowed to mess up, that you're allowed to lose it in some takes and go back. And when you have a director like David, your trust in him is so complete, and you know that he doesn't want you to look bad in the film, so you can do really risky things, and he will sort of sort it out in the editing.
And working with Daniel, obviously most of your scenes are with him. How would you say, how was it working with him? And then obviously you have one crucial scene in which people may just hold their, it's on the edge of your seat.
He's a great actor, and I really like the choices he made for this hero, who is not physically fighting hero. Who is an intelligent man, but really a normal Swedish man. But he's so fun. It's not only fun to act with him because of the give and take situation where he's very generous. It's also he's such a nice bloke to hang with, and you have fun on the set.
Now, this is a remake of a Swedish film that many people saw last year, and of a book that's less than 10 years old. What are your thoughts on the remakes? And is there a remake that you want, or is there a film you don't want to see remade?
This is not a remake of the film. This is just another film based on the same book. It's like they're making Anna Karenina now for the 15th time or something, and they're all based on the book. So this film is not at all based on the Swedish-Danish film. So I wouldn't call it a remake. When it comes to remakes, the problem occurs when there's a very brilliant European auteur, director that makes a film, and Hollywood thinks, oh, that was a great film, let's just do it. And it doesn't work like that. If they then sort of take away everything that's edgy, they put a generic director to direct it, and you're left with a story, and it doesn't work, of course. But in this case, we have a pretty good novel, which has two ingredients that are fantastic, and that's the two lead characters. We have that, and then we have an auteur director with a very personal view of everything, and one of the best in the world, David Fincher. So of course he should do the film. And I had no hesitation about that. I'm sure I don't remember the Swedish-Danish film anymore, but what I saw when I saw Fincher's film the other day was absolutely amazing.
Now, you've had Thor, you've had Melancholia, you've had this film. You've got to work with your son. Would you say this was the biggest film year you've had as an actor?
What do you mean?
In terms of, the exposure, the work that you're getting, obviously, they're big budgeted. I wouldn't say Lars is a big budgeted, but, the notoriety that each film comes with.
My role in this film is more interesting than the one in Lars' film. My exposure is bigger than in Thor. They're both big budget films. They all both have many millions for publicity. Lars's film doesn't have the wide release, of course. I can't talk of films in size like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's an impossible question to answer.
So in saying that, obviously you've had big roles, you've had small roles. What goes through your mind when you're looking to choose a film that, even if they're calling you, what's the ultimate, obviously there are people you want to work with, but what else goes through your mind when you're choosing to do the film?
Well, it depends on what I've just done. If I've done something very fluffy, it's very nice to go to a smaller, darker film or an independent film. And vice versa. But it's also, what is it? What can I do? Is this a material that I can do something with? Can my specific way of acting contribute to this film? Is it something that would be fun to do? Is it a fun bunch of people? There's so many things that makes it count. But what I'm really good at is having fun when I work. And I've made about 90 films, and I'm still really enjoying it, and I think it is because I choose for pleasure, and then of course finances can come in as well.
Now, obviously, in working with Lars and Branagh and Fincher and Whedon again, and the countless other directors you've worked with, is there one thing different you're taking from each person that you add to your technique when you're working on the next film?
I think I learn all the time, and I think I would stop acting if I didn't learn any longer. I learn, and I watch the directors, and I see how they work. I try to figure out and find out new things all the time, and I do. It's not always specific what I learned from that director, what I learned from that director, but I feel that my acting is, after each film I've learned something, and I'm getting better, and I hope to get even better.
Are you in a position where you want to produce or direct yourself, or contribute in any other way besides acting?
I've co-produced a couple of films and co-financed a couple of small European films because I wanted them to get done. I will not become a producer that sort of really produces or works on it the whole time, because I don't think it suits me. And I think I'm not patient enough to be a director, because then I have to work on a project for maybe 3-4 years. And I'd rather make 3-4 films in a year.
Now, you made a film which hasn't been released yet, but you got to work with Halle Berry and Frankie and Alex, and for some reason we don't know why or if it's ever going to be released. How's working on that film? And I know it's not in your control, but what do you think? Why do you think it hasn't been released?
I think there were some financial problems between different producers that sort of stopped everything, and some people weren't paid, and it was blocked and stuff. And that's terrible, I think, because Halle Berry is fantastic in it. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah. And I loved working with her. She's a miracle as an actress, and that film deserved a better destiny than what has been bestowed.
Now, obviously, next year is The Avengers, which is the next on your slate, unless some other independent film comes out or so forth. What's it like to go back to reprise the characters, whether it's big or small?
Yeah, it's strange. You don't usually do that. I actually did the same character twice, actually the same film twice, when I did The Exorcist at the beginning. But it is it's strange, and it's also with a new director. The first one was Kenneth Branagh. Here is Joss Whedon, and the function of the character is totally different in this film, and the scenes are different, and the role is much smaller. But it's kind of, in a way, I find it like it's a little nice feeling, the thing that going back to the Marvel guys now and then and meet them again. It's a little homey feeling.
And what other projects are you working on that you're looking forward to seeing for it to come out?
What I'm working on now, I might start an independent film in February, but nothing is signed yet, so I can't talk about it. There are discussions about Thor 2, but there's been some delays there, and I don't think they have a script yet. And then it's a new Lars von Trier film in the summer. A porno film, as he says.
And how's your collaboration with him over the years? How would you describe your relationship with him?
I love him. He's a very dear friend, and he's fantastic to work. He's a very good man, and very generous and intelligent, and you have a lot of fun shooting with him.
So at the end of the day, when anybody's talking about the girl with the dragon tattoo, and for anybody who's just clueless as to what this story is about because they haven't heard anything, read the internet, what do you tell them the story is about, and why should they go see it?
They should go and see it because of the two main characters. It's the heroes you've never seen before, especially the female hero, Lisbeth Salander, who is the most violent and toughest person in the film, and at the same time abused and very, very vulnerable, and beautifully portrayed by Rooney Mara. And also the relationship between her and Mikael Blomkvist, played by Daniel Craig, is fantastic. It's a kind of love couple that you never expected you would see.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.